Happy holidays, folks, and welcome back to December, the holiday event on the channel where I explore the death and downfall of the DCEU films. I'll be uploading a video every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday between December 4th and December 28th. There will be tons of spoilers as I pick apart these movies, so if this sounds like something that interests you, kick back, relax, grab some snacks, a loved one to maybe watch it with, because today we're talking about... I was really looking forward to this movie because I had enjoyed the first Wonder Woman. I thought all of the trailers and ads for this looked really cool, as well as the fact that we were in the pandemic lockdown at the time, and I didn't think I was going to see any new films until theaters opened back up. But I'm pretty sure this was the first film that released on streaming for me that I personally saw during the lockdown. So it was a really good time for me until I actually watched the movie, and then...
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
This movie does practically everything wrong. It has bad writing, bad character development, bad action, bad special effects, poor continuity. The only thing this movie doesn't do wrong is have bad acting, and people would argue with me on that because they don't like Gal Gadot.
Kalel, no!
I'm not saying an argument can't be made, but I think she's better than a lot of people give her credit for. But what exactly makes this movie so bad? I honestly think that amongst its litany of problems, the biggest issue is that it's trying to copy the first Wonder Woman way too hard. There are so many parallels between 84 and the first Wonder Woman that is actually kind of ridiculous. Like, the first Wonder Woman starts off with a flashback showing Diana in her past on Themyscira. This also starts with a flashback showing Diana in her past on Themyscira. In the first movie, you had the whole fish out of water storyline where Diana traveled to Man's World for the first time and she didn't understand how anything worked. In this movie, you have Steve Trevor being resurrected after 74 years being dead, not knowing how anything works, except this worked significantly better in the first one than it did in this one. You have a sequence where Steve is trying on clothes that don't exactly match him the same way in Wonder Woman. Diana tried on a bunch of clothes that didn't exactly work for her. Like, this movie tries so very hard to copy the first movie, like, shot for shot, and it's just like, no, you can't just copy the original and then it's gonna work again. That's not how it works. The original worked for a very specific reason. All of those scenes happened for a purpose. It wasn't just trying to be another movie. This is trying to be the first Wonder Woman. And it's like, no, we just changed the setting and the bad guy and the message, so like everything's fine now. But no, that's not how that works. You can't just copy and paste a story and then change like a couple of things and then it's like, boom, perfect. It's 100% gonna work, because it completely failed here. And those failures started from the beginning of the movie. We open up to see a young Diana on Themyscira about to participate in some sort of Amazonian competition. However, the first minor continuity error happens here. You see, this actress who is playing young Diana in this movie is being portrayed by the same actress who played the child Diana in the first Wonder Woman. The problem with this is, this actress in this movie is younger than the teenage version of Diana that was in Wonder Woman. Like, she's younger than that actress was in that movie. And that's a problem because in the first Wonder Woman movie, we learned that Diana was not allowed to train and participate in anything that the Amazonians did until her mother found out she had been secretly training with her aunt when she was a teenager, that being the scene with this slightly older child Diana. So the fact that this actress is younger than the version of Diana that got caught and given permission to train just leaves a little itch in the back of my head that makes me go like, well, you're not supposed to be doing this because you're younger than the version of you that gained the permission to do this. It's not a big deal, but it's kind of the same thing with like Harry Potter's parents, where in the books, they're significantly younger than they look in the movie. They're like in their 20s when they die in the books, but in the movies, they look like they're in their 30s or 40s. It completely changes your perception of these characters' deaths because they don't look the actual age that they're supposed to be, and it's the same thing here. So Diana's participating in this competition. It's a four-legged race where the opening part is this obstacle course where we see that Amazonians are able to sabotage their other opponents. They're able to push them off the obstacle course. And these Amazonians even try to hit Diana with a battering ram, which, like, excessive, but okay. The second part is them swimming across the ocean. The third part is them riding on horseback, shooting these triggers here that shoot up a plume of smoke in the air that, when we see goes up, these flags are dropped to correspond with them hitting each and every target. Then the final part of the race is throwing this javelin through this goal post here, and that finishes the competition. So, Diana being a part of this, everything starts off fine. She is in the lead, she beats the obstacle course segment first, she beats the swimming segment first, and she's on horseback first, and everything is going fine until she gets distracted looking back to see if anyone's catching up to her. She ends up getting knocked off her horse by running into a tree, and then she takes this conveniently placed slide to catch up to her horse so she can continue the race. However, we see that in doing so, she missed one of the targets that she was supposed to shoot during this part of the race. So when she arrives back at the competition to throw the javelin through the goal, her aunt grabs her and tells her that, no, you're not allowed to win because you cheated. And no, she didn't. She didn't do anything to cheat. She missed one of the targets, which means it was incomplete. So if she would have thrown the javelin through the hole, she still would have lost because she didn't do everything that she was supposed to do. It's the equivalent of like a baton racer making it to the finish line without the baton. Yeah, you finished the race, but you don't have the baton, which is the other requirement to win. And that's what this is here. So Diana didn't cheat, she just got an incompletion. So this whole point here of this scene is that Diana needs to learn to not cheat and accomplish things on her own, but she didn't even cheat to begin with. And on top of that, this tournament has shown that people are able to sabotage each other. So, like, that's fine, but her missing a target constitutes cheating? That seems completely ludicrous. And even further on top of that, this entire scene is pointless because it has nothing to do with the themes of the rest of the movie. The movie's theme is acceptance, learning how to be okay with what your life is. This whole scene about not cheating has nothing to do with any of that. The three characters of focus that we see the theme of this movie play out through are Barbara, aka Cheetah, Diana, Wonder Woman, and Maxwell Lord. All three of them are unhappy with what their lives are, and they try to change that. But over the course of the movie, they have to learn that in trying to change their lives, they lose the part that made their lives good and what they were in the first place. Diana resurrects Steve and learns that she loses her abilities to be Wonder Woman. The world needs Wonder Woman more than she needs Steve, and she has to accept his death and get her powers back. Barbara hates being a nerdy girl that no one pays attention to. She wants to be strong and sexy. But in becoming Cheetah, she loses her humanity. Maxwell Lord hates the fact that his life has been a failure and he wants to give his son the world. So he literally uses a magic wishing stone to take over the world. I'll talk more about that in a second. And he loses the love of his son. So, like, they all have to learn throughout the course of the movie to accept what their previous lives were. None of that has anything to do with cheating. In other words, meaning this entire opening sequence can be completely removed from the movie and nothing changes at all, which is extremely bad. Your movie shouldn't start off with scenes that don't need to be in it because it's just a waste of the audience's time. And as a whole, this movie is just a waste of the audience's time, and you can see that in the fact that it has no consistency with the DCEU as a whole or within its own script. In regards to the DCEU, this movie's existence in itself is a clear contradiction of all of Wonder Woman's story. Wonder Woman had a very straightforward story. In 1910, she left Themyscira with Steve Trevor to stop World War I. Steve died, she defeated Ares, and then she retired being Wonder Woman until 2016, where she fought side by side with Superman and Batman to stop Doomsday, and then she continued being a superhero after that and joined the Justice League. That's her story. In this, Wonder Woman stayed Wonder Woman after Steve died. She just continued saving people, which fits nowhere in her story because it's reiterated to us on multiple occasions that she wasn't Wonder Woman until 2016. In the Wonder Woman movie, it starts off with a shot in the present showcasing Diana reminiscing about her time as Wonder Woman in World War I. And then the movie ends again in the present with her going to save someone. And then in Justice League, she mentioned that she had not been Wonder Woman for 100 years. So the fact that Wonder Woman 84 exists completely destroys any continuity of her story. And it's so irritating because it's like, you couldn't have just had this movie take place in the present? Like, there's nothing about this movie that says it can't take place in present day. So why doesn't it just take place in present day? There's no discernible reason why it shouldn't. They just don't, because it felt like someone was like, it'd be cool if we had a Wonder Woman movie take place in the 80s. So that's what they did. Then in the confines of its own script, the whole movie is centered around the wishing stone. And it has a very simple rule. You make a wish, it takes something from you. That's it. It's very clear and concise. However, the stone picks and chooses how stuff works, and it just doesn't make any sense. Look at Diana, for example. Diana, her wish is to bring back Steve. And in exchange for bringing back Steve, she was supposed to lose her powers. But Diana's powers are gradually lost throughout the course of the entire movie, instead of it being an immediate and instantaneous thing like a lot of other people's wishes. Like, we see people who make wishes and then the consequences of those wishes happen immediately. Case in point, when Max has Simon Stagg make a wish that he wants Max's company to be extravagant, that it's flourishing. Max tells him that, great, so in exchange for my company doing well, I'm going to take all of your stocks and you're going to get mysteriously arrested. And then he leaves and the FBI immediately shows up and arrests Simon Stagg. It was instantaneous. But then in regards to Wonder Woman, her power gradually disappears throughout the course of the movie. And the same thing happens with Barbara. Barbara's thing that she lost was supposed to be her humanity. Barbara is supposed to be a very nice and sweet and empathetic person, but in wishing to be like Diana, the part of her that was lost was that humanity that made her so kind, which, to be perfectly honest, isn't really true, because we never see her be an evil person to like a ridiculous degree. Like, sure, she fights Diana at the end of the movie, but it's not out of malice. She's doing it because Diana's planning to destroy the wishing stone, which is going to get rid of the wish that she made, and she does not want to go back to the way her life was before. She isn't fighting Diana to be evil. She's fighting Diana to preserve the life that she has now that she really enjoys. There's nothing malicious behind anything that she's doing. The only time we really see her being a bad person, I guess, is when she beat the hell out of the guy that tried to sexually assault her a few days ago. Which, like, I don't think anyone watching that really thought she was being bad. They put a bunch of dramatic music behind it, being like, oh, Barbara's being bad here. Ooh, she's losing her humanity. But, like, also, no. A good friend of mine actually brought up a very great point that would have made this scene make perfect sense. So, shout outs to you, buddy. If Barbara had just attacked a random person that looked similar to the guy that attacked her, it would solve all of those problems. Because if she attacked someone thinking it was that guy, wanting to instigate a fight, and it turned out to be an innocent individual, that would show how Barbara's humanity is disappearing. But instead, Barbara gets catcalled by the guy that attacked her the other day, and then she's just like, you know what? Screw this guy, and beats the crap out of him. And like, no one watching this movie is going to think that she's wrong for that. So this was a poor example to show her turning evil. And then again, the movie ending with her fighting Diana because she doesn't want to lose the life that is literally better than what her previous life was, isn't evil. So when exactly did she lose her humanity? Because she doesn't really act like a different person after her wish is made. And then her becoming Cheetah is even more stupid. See, the wishing stone has another very concrete rule. You can only make one wish. That's it. You can only have one wish, period. You see that here in this scene where Max gets upset that his son wasted the one wish that he had.
Wish for greatness, for success.
So, during the third act, we see Barbara and Max talking to each other on a plane. Max even starts off the conversation by telling Barbara that he knows she made a wish, and he's like, the consequences of the wishes are a bit of a bitch to handle. And then he asks Barbara immediately after saying that, so what do you wish for? And it's like, well, she can't make a wish because you and her both know she already made a wish. And then she tells him that she wants to be an apex predator, that she wants to be the strongest there is, the number one. And then the next time we see her, she's Cheetah, like full-on Cheetah. For those of you who are watching this video and aren't comic book fans, Cheetah's kind of a furry, like she's a cheetah person. So Like, think the Thundercats. That's what Cheetah is. So Barbara turned into that. And I'm sorry, but like, your whole character up until this point was about how you wanted to be strong and sexy and for everyone to respect you. No one is going to think you're hot and sexy when you turn into a walking furry. Well, that's not true. But most people aren't going to find you attractive for turning yourself into a walking furry. Like, all of the praise and love that you got before is going to disappear, because if you walk out into the street looking like this, most people are going to be like, oh my god, there's a monster in the street. Kids, run away. So, like, I don't understand how you turning into this is, you know, a good thing, but also, how did you turn into this in the first place? Because you weren't supposed to be able to make another wish because you made a wish already. That's the rules of the stone. And then when everything turns to shit while Max is destroying the world by granting everyone's wishes, his son is wishing that his dad would come back to him, but because his son made a wish earlier in the movie, he can't do that. So why did it work for Cheetah, but it doesn't work for the son? Oh, I get it. It's because Cheetah needs to be in the movie, because Cheetah is one of Wonder Woman's arch nemesis, so they made Cheetah be in the movie. That's why it's here, because, you know, we wanted it to happen, so it's happening, and that's just how this movie is. It's super annoying. It's just a lot of stuff happening because they want stuff to happen. Like, Maxwell Lord, there's no reason that he continues his master maniacal plan, or it's even a maniacal master plan in the first place. All Max wanted to do was have his business be successful so he'd give his son a comfortable life. But after succeeding that, in like the early second act of the movie, he just keeps going and tries to develop more and more power until it eventually destroys the world, because he's granted literally everyone in the world's wish, and like all of their wishes being granted at the same time is just destroying the entire planet. So like, what exactly is your plan after that? Because after you grant all of these wishes and then the world's destroyed, there's not going to be a world left for you to live in with your son. Like, you already achieved massive wealth and an organization that could last you and your son multiple lifetimes. So like, why are you still going? He doesn't have a point in continuing to do any of this stuff. It makes no sense. And that's Wonder Woman 84. It's a movie with poor action, has terrible continuity, and a story that doesn't make any sense. Like, why did you make this movie? Nothing in this movie was done with any sort of care or love. It just feels like someone said, hey, make a Wonder Woman sequel. And then they just made one without trying to put any effort into it. I honest to God don't understand how this movie came out in this state. Like, nothing in the story makes any sense. Nothing in the continuity to the DCEU makes any sense. All of the action scenes from the first movie that were super cool that are now in this movie suck. Like, how did this movie come out this way? Like, so much has to go into making a movie making process, and so many movies come out beautiful because of all the effort that people put into it. And you would think that someone making a sequel to something that they made that people really loved would turn out to be great, but like, this movie just falls apart under any sort of scrutiny, and I just don't understand how we got here. It's truly disappointing because I wanted this movie to be good. I really did, and it's just not. So that's Wonder Woman 84, folks. There is one last thing that I do want to mention before we go. So Diana wishes for Steve to be brought back to life, but instead of Steve just being full-on resurrected, having a brand new body and everything like that, his ghost is brought back and possesses some random guy that Diana doesn't know. I don't understand why this was the case, because we see the Wishing Stone do a lot of absurd things in the movie, like create oil where oil didn't exist, conjure walls into existence. So like, it does a lot of stuff that shouldn't be possible, but it does because it's God magic. So why exactly is Steve brought back in the body of somebody else? Like, it's just weird and uncomfortable, especially since Diana is like kissing and having sex with this guy throughout the whole movie, because this guy's a person. He has a life. It's not that like Steve was brought back into like the body of someone who just died, so it isn't creepy. Nah, this is a guy who is fully alive, has a life, has things that he's doing, but now Steve is just puppeteering his body around and doing stuff with Diana. It's super weird and uncomfortable, and it's unnecessary. I could have understood if, like, behind the scenes, Chris Pine wasn't capable of being on set, like, he refused to come back for this movie, or he was preoccupied with another schedule that he had to deal with. That would have been fine. Then it would have been like, okay, behind the scenes, they couldn't get Chris Pine back, so they cast somebody else and then came up with an explanation as to why he looks this way. That would make sense, but Chris Pine is here. He's in the whole movie. And Diana views this random dude as Chris Pine because she sees through, you know, his facade or whatever with true love and everything like that, and sees him the way that she idealizes him. So, like, what was the point of this? Why was he a ghost possessing some guy's body instead of just full-on resurrecting? It's weird. Like, Patty Jenkins, Jeff Johns, why did you do this? Why? But anyway, that's going to be the video. I hope you enjoyed. I'll be back again with another video tomorrow. So, with all that being said, I'm the Innocent Villain. You're innocent to proven villainous. Like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTuber nonsense. My socials in the description, and I'll catch you next time.